Here comes.
Going live. It's Monday.
Man. Hey guys, welcome back to Monday. Fun day. Testing normal.
Monday.
One of the best days around. Actually, I would say one of my top 7 favorite days.
One of your top 7?
Yeah.
I'd put it in the top 8.
Oh, top 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're on different timelines there, eh?
Time is relative, man. Like, here's the deal. People can't judge by things that make sense anymore. Why do I have to judge time based on the solar, revolution of one planet to a star?
Yeah. Well, there are individuals out there that have identified as a different age.
True.
And some of them are doing that for purposes of health insurance, but also for
Didn't I lose his case though?
life insurance. A guy in England did it for a life insurance case.
Yeah, but he lost his case. He also did it for a dating app, and he lost. So apparently they have limits.
There's a limit, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to start off our fantastic evening with some shower thoughts.
Like it. I like it.
I got Trace. Jordan, how many you got?
Quattro. 4. So I'll go first.
Perfect.
Taking the first bite of a burger determines where the front is.
Lovely. I love that. I have seen those freaks out there that will eat it in a circle. I've seen people take a bite and turn it and rotate it.
Yeah. They're freaks or tiny children, because I've seen them do that with donuts too. And unless you're playing that donut game where it's hanging from a string and it's not intentional, you're crazy. And I think you should be medicated if you eat it like that.
Or institutionalized. Something minor like that. Some minor response would be appropriate,
Not
I think.
A big change. Yeah.
Not a big change.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got?
All right. It's interesting that you cannot use drugs in the Olympics, but you can use makeup and have surgery to win the Miss World beauty contest.
Yes.
And Miss Universe, whatever. But I'm
down to 3 now. And apparently I didn't read yours very well to not repeat yours. But that is a good one. And I concur. It is very strange.
Right?
I don't get it. I do. I do get it in the sense that maybe neither should have neither. Or there should be a category where they do. This would probably... What if they had one that was both? Like you had to use performance-enhancing drugs and makeup.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
That's what that swimmer did.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Different categories for sure.
Yes.
Okay, hit me.
The biggest problem with conspiracy theories is that some are true.
Yep. Very true. That is true.
Which is why we need more free speech, which we'll talk about.
Oh, we'll get there. Waking up with a sore throat really makes you realize you've been taking life for granted. Or doesn't even have to be sore throat.
Nah, it's
waking up with a toe infection, a finger infection.
Yeah, we've had this chat before where when you're sick, it feels like there was no state of better.
And you'll never get better again.
Yeah, you're like, what was it? And will this go away? If I don't remember what it was like without it,
it's so easy to get in that loop.
It's so consuming.
I'm never gonna be better.
Well, it's not only that. It's like usually like you're tired, so you fall asleep and you think it's tomorrow, but it's really today. And then when you do fall asleep and it is tomorrow, you think it's yesterday. And there's just this like weird, I don't know.
Bummer loop.
Yeah.
All right, hit me.
The difference between $1 million and $1 billion is kind of like blowing up the moon or blowing up the sun. The common person has no chance at ever achieving either, so they see them kind of the same, but when you really look at it, they're very, very different.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I like that. A good comparison. Yeah, it would be much easier to get to $1 million. And
although I would say I think most people don't realize that there are a ton of people that get to $1 million, like because of inflation and the way it is in a lifetime, at least $1 million,
Yeah.
at least
$1 million seems
maybe
more
not
of a realistic grasp
it's
than the moon, right?
and that really should at least for most people be a real kicker that $1 billion is that much more hard to attain, right? Not to mention like $1 trillion. This is what I think we really need to have. Like, we need to have better, like more useful math and stuff in classes, especially for kids, maybe even adults, so that they
More
understand
analogies.
when they're voting for these people that are like, $1 trillion is not that much. We need to raise the debt by that. And it's like, you should be spanked or something or punished for even thinking that. Like, no.
Well, and the hard part is in that situation is there's no real grasp of concept of what that debt does or means, right? Like it's easy to say that for the country, but it's hard to contextualize what that actually impact is going to have on our country and the people. And I don't even think today most people, and even myself, fully can conceptualize what that debt means.
No, I think it's too hard. You have to minimize and simplify it. But I think that we didn't really do this as a country until we shifted towards kind of almost like flaunting and or I don't know, making it a cool thing to live debt. You know what I mean? Like we were like a pretty cash society until and when our society started to shift away from that, so did our government. And because everyone's so used to it, they're like, well, yeah, everyone does that. So you've got to do it as a country. Like,
yeah. Well, I got one last shower thought here, and I don't know if everybody's going to grasp this. The younger folks might not grasp this, but one of the best things in life is to lay down in bed with an empty bladder, in my opinion. It is the most satisfying thing to know I'm laying down in bed and I'm not going to have to get up and go pee. Because perchance, if I lay down in bed and it's comfortable, but I feel there's like, 1 or 2 pea-sized drops of urine in my bladder, I know that my body's going to bug me in about an hour and say, hey, you can sleep right now, but you're not going to be totally comfortable because I'm going to wake you up pretty
Part of that's annoying,
here.
And part of it's like, I'm glad my body still knows it should get up and go pee.
Yes, yes.
Like there's that like.
But the capacity to hold in urine, it's so obnoxious. Like I used to go to bed and never wake up. Never wake up.
Is it less capacity or is it just more annoyance? Like I kind of lean towards the latter, at least at this point. Like because there's a point at which you do get past like a certain spot and you're like, yeah, I don't have to pee again. And that's kind of scary because you're like, wait, did it explode?
There's a combination of like your sphincter control, right? Your urinary incontinence factors increase as you get older. So sphincter strength and tone decreases as you get older. Bladder tone decreases. And so individuals, most of us, almost all of us, will have issues with incontinence as we get older, but also difficulty holding that urine in. And it sucks. It sucks.
I was kind of glad for it. I mean, I wasn't feeling great, so I know to drink more water, right? They told us in the military, they said, if for what we're doing, if you don't have to get up, and this is to young kids, right? If you don't have to get up and pee twice in the middle of the night, you're not drinking enough water for what we're doing.
Ooh, that's good.
And
I like that.
Yeah.
In the military, they told you that in boot camp?
And they tracked it too. Like you had to like tie a knot every time you had like a quart of water, right? And they would get on you for not tracking that because they wanted to make sure you're not going to die.
That's smart. Yeah, that's actually clever on their part.
I drank a bunch of water and then I fell asleep. My wife wasn't feeling great. I fell asleep down in our basement and I had to get up to go pee and I was annoyed, right? So, but it was like 4 a.m. It was like that time where it was like, shoot, I mean, I could get a little bit more sleep and this is breaking that. Like, and so that was what was annoying. But when I did, I heard a leaking sound of water that was not myself. There was some questions there for a moment. But it was not myself and it was my water heater, like valve, the flush valve had decided it didn't want to hold water anymore.
No.
And was like spritzing water out like hard enough that it was coming out of the drip pan. And so because I had to pee, this is what's the irony of life, right? Because I had to pee, it got me up to hear the water heater peeing to then like at least band-aid that problem to not cause a bigger mess for me.
Yeah, that's true. Silver linings, man. Silver linings. I'm going to say real quick here, Josh made a good input, basically saying, people understand we're bleeding our economy. Eventually, it'll bleed to death, right?
Yeah.
And that's how George Washington died, which I think he's alluding to, like maybe, how they tried to bleed out the disease in people back in the day, and they used to use leeches too, but
right.
But
bloodletting. That's a concept I'm glad that we're done with. Like,
yeah, there is actually still some treatments that we do that for.
Right. But we know why. It's not just because we think sickness lives in blood. So if we get less blood, clearly we'll survive. Like,
it's when people have too much red blood cells. Sometimes they hyperproduce. But he said at the end, he's like, it's also nice going potty, but also pooty before bed.
Pooty, like really?
I don't know. My normal routine is totally different than most people, right? But I rarely go poop before bed. Do you go?
Yeah, no. See, I'm pretty. I mean, if we were gonna be real, like this is testing.
Yeah.
Normal,
what's your
so,
normal like? What's your frequency here?
I'm pretty regular, like twice a day.
Okay. And is it usually the same times a day?
Usually, it just depends. So sometimes, like, I don't eat a lot. Like, you know me. Like, my eating schedule is kind of strange, right? So sometimes I'm really starving and I just feel like I need to eat in the morning. But a lot of times I just don't. And there's like a few times this week, I didn't eat till like 6 p.m. So if I'm not eating until then, usually after I eat, then it's like all hands on deck, right?
Oh, interesting. So shortly after eating, it comes to time. It comes to fruition.
Yeah, so I had a friend who aptly put that corn was tracers. Like if I put tracers through my body, it'd be pretty quick.
Oh, that's funny. I'm curious, everybody out there that's listening to, how much of an effect does coffee have on your situation?
I don't know that coffee does, but I eat coffee with like butter and like some other fats in it. That does it more than the coffee itself. I know that it can, like it. I mean, it definitely could. For me, it's more water. But like, I think people don't drink enough water. And
that's true.
I mean, oftentimes it's like that. It's like, oh, I haven't gone in a while. You drink a bunch of water. Like, I'm gonna go now. Like, yeah. So like, I usually wake up and chug like 32 ounces of water before I have coffee. I try to force myself to have 32 ounces of water.
That's good. I found myself in a situation. So this is going to maybe be a little bit too real for y'all, but this is good.
Dude, we're already down this road.
When I was younger, I struggled. I really did not have a good
We've had this conversation on here. We've had this conversation.
I would go. Yeah. I would consistently go a week without.
I think this is why you wore sweats.
Once a week. Once a week. Just kidding. Once a week though, and I was happy.
Once a weeker.
Yeah, I was a once a weeker. Yeah, consistently. And then I think that's what caused me to have appendicitis though too, because it backed up enough and it put strain on the old.
It caused appendix. Something, man.
Yeah. So, needless to say, after that, I started to become a little bit more regular. But it probably wasn't until college, man. I'm not gonna lie. Probably wasn't until like maybe even a little bit after college where I was like, okay, now I got more of like a normal routine to go like either once a day or every other day. And now
were you a kid that like, and this is just we're just barreling down the truth train, right?
It's all
like, were you a kid that was like embarrassed to go in public, like at school or the mall or something like that? Or like, for instance, like what I'm specifically thinking is like summer camp. Like, I would go to summer camp and be like, I can't poop here. Like, this is not a place. It's not home.
Good question. Good question. Yes. So this is interesting. I don't think I was embarrassed, but I wasn't comfortable going in those situations as much.
Yeah, that's probably more.
My bowels, like instinctively, would become constipated quickly, I think. And so like there's like traveler's constipation, right? Like sometimes when I travel somewhere, I can't poop. And I just, my bowels shut down until I'm like in a location for several days and relaxed, like, so it's a weird thing. Like there is an autonomic kind of response, fight or flight kind of thing that your bowels can slow down when you're in like survival mode. And I think that my bowels just like would not relax.
I get annoyed because it's like you go on a plane, right?
Mhm.
Like, probably, I wouldn't want to poop on a plane. Like, it just seems.
I've never pooped on a plane. Have you pooped on a plane?
I think I've been forced to, like, a
You've
couple
pooped on a
times.
plane. Wow. Never
Um,
done it.
I'm saying I think. I can't like.
Uh huh.
I can't say no, and I can't say like definite yes. Right. I
I feel
definitely
like I
peed.
would.
I feel like peeing on a plane is fun. It is an acrobatic event, where you don't
It's
know what's
so
gonna happen. It
for the
is
guys, it's way more fun than for the girls. For the
right,
girls,
right,
it
right. So
sucks.
it's like a. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like a Jack in the Box. At any moment, it could just. The whole thing you're in. You are gonna be doing this, right? I
Sloshing all
love
over
it.
the
There's
place.
no window. I think there should be a window in there. No one's
There
gonna look
should
into it,
totally be a
right?
window. Why is there no window in the
Right?
bathroom?
Because no one's gonna look.
Jordan,
If someone
that's
does, like,
genius.
props to them. They
That's
figured it out.
genius.
Like, but like you don't know it's coming. Like, not that if you looked out, you're like, oh, here comes a cloud. Like, you don't like.
They probably don't want people spending that much time in the bathroom. They probably think if there's a window, people will just
Yeah, but
get lost in it, and
maybe I don't know.
you know those old poop memories just start flying at them, and they just start those poop daydreams.
That
You
is,
know?
I've never seen one with a window. There needs to be. Um, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. That
Yeah.
we went down
So
that road. So
I'm glad we went down that road. Sorry guys, it was a little rabbit trail. Danny said
oh, he's
it's
talking about
best
the
thing
Twitter
ever.
thing. We haven't gotten there yet, Danny. We're gonna get
Oh
there.
yeah, sorry.
We are for
So
sure gonna get there though.
we're gonna get there, guys. We're gonna get there. I'm gonna do a quick little update on Ukraine though, real quick for y'all.
Yeah, do it because I haven't heard anything. I've been out of. This has been a weird week, so just hit me.
Totally. So currently, everybody's that has been paying attention, I'm sure, is aware that Mariupol, however you want to say it, is still kind of one of the last holdout cities in the southeastern edge of Ukraine. And they're trying to hold that specific location out. There's like a factory there where it's harboring a lot of the Ukrainian soldiers and a lot of civilians. But if they're able to take that location, then the Russians can basically kind of seize a good portion of the eastern Ukraine, even though Ukrainian forces are fighting against it. However, with all this evolving kind of warfare that's taking place, something that Putin really did not want to happen just basically came to fruition today, to an extent. Two newspapers, one out of Sweden and another one out of Finland, are reporting for the governments there, and saying that the two governments have agreed to submit NATO applications at the same time.
Who has?
Finland and Sweden.
Oh.
And that was a big area of reservation and concern that Russia had from multiple states within that were on their border, right? And even though Sweden's not on their border, they're pretty close, right? And Finland's obviously is on their border.
Right.
So by this acts of aggression, we're seeing a escalation in the concerns that Russia had before even the entire,
I could see
invasion
why
took
they
place.
want to join NATO, but at the same time, especially for Finland, it's kind of a ballsy move because
Oh yeah, totally.
it's kind of. I don't think it should. It only is showing an act of aggression because of who the leaders are in Russia. If the leaders in Russia were sane, it wouldn't.
Right.
Like,
right.
I mean, I guess that goes for a lot of things, but
Yeah.
it's
But
a big move.
It's an act. I mean, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has led to the growing support, I think, in Sweden and Finland. And then, so if the people of Sweden and Finland feel like this is important, then that's going to allow the governments of those countries, right, to say, okay, the people are asking for this, and then they, push that towards.
I mean, that's the thing is, if it gets approved, right, then it definitely is a Russia knows, because if say Ukraine was, and I honestly, my opinion is that Ukraine should not be a part of NATO. I do not think that they are trustworthy. I don't think it's proven. I think both these, the attacks shouldn't be going on, but you cannot make a great argument to me that Ukraine is a great country just as much as you could convince me that Russia is, right? Their leadership, not the people. So that obviously that's not going to happen. Like, it shouldn't happen, I should say. But with Finland, I mean, that would be really calling Russia's bluff, because if they touch them and they are approved and NATO does say you're a part of us, that starts a whole chain of events.
Yes, it does. But it also shows, and I think this will be an interesting thing for the Russian people as well. Perhaps it will further show the missteps that Putin has taken to
wonder what they hear about it, though. Like,
right. Yeah, that's true. I was actually listening to a reporter on this, and she was talking about VPNs in Russia. And she was talking about the situation is a bit different than when the USSR was in power, obviously, because technology is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying it's interesting. A lot of the younger population in Russia are more technologically advanced than Putin and many of his advisors.
It's the same here, to be honest.
Yes. But what's interesting is that Putin and his advisors are making decisions, and these decisions that they think perhaps like shutting down radio stations or like shutting down TV media.
But nobody
like,
listens or watches.
Right. Younger individuals, they don't care. Like that's no big deal. Like, and they think, okay, well, or shutting down websites even, right? Like, okay, sure, shut down a website. I'll just turn on my VPN and I'll access something through Canada or the United States. Like, it doesn't really make a difference.
Probably not through Canada, but yes, I see your point.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. So I think we're going to see perhaps. I think if things continue in the way they do, I think Putin's going to have to either become more militarized and dictator-like, even more than he is, to maintain control, which he could. He very well could, right?
Yeah, it may not stop him, but it may cause the people to understand. And this kind of goes back to what we talked about a few weeks back, where, what was it, Julian Assange said that if lies perpetuate war, then that which will stop it is truth. And ultimately, like, truth will come through, truth will win. It may take a little bit longer, because truth is usually not hostile. And it's usually, truth is like loving, and love can't be forced, right? Like that's kind of what sucks, is it kind of it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you can't force someone to love you, or it's no longer love. You can't the truth can't force itself on someone, or else it's not truly like believable truth. So it sometimes moves a little bit slower. And that's just the nature of truth, but it will get through. Like the truth will get through to these people, whether they like it or not,
Speaking of truth,
which I think is fitting for our conversation.
It's a good transition. Good transition here. This is very interesting. I am a big advocate of supporting people's beliefs, whether I agree with them or not, in multiple facets of society and different types of opinions and lifestyles. And I'm an advocate for of people's freedoms. And Elon Musk has said that he is this as well. And he has kind of throughout time demonstrated sentiment towards this stance. And he has today, and I don't know if this is like absolute, but it seems like it's kind of been accepted. As of today, it looks like the board of Twitter did agree and accept the offer of $44 billion, correct? Yeah. So $44 billion for the purchase of Twitter. This is a big deal, guys. It's a big deal for obviously Elon Musk. The fact that he was able to acquire financing for $44 billion purchase of a tech platform, right? A messaging platform. And what's also interesting about this is his plans, right? How he plans to, what he plans to do to improve and or utilize this app. What were some of the things you saw that he was thinking about doing with this?
Well, the number one thing, and I retweeted this today, I'm excited for for I've always liked the idea of Twitter versus a Facebook. I mean, that Facebook has its place, right? That idea has its place. It's I heard someone explain that the difference between the two is like one is the short way of kind of putting to the world your thoughts that are going on right now, and the other one is a way to share your shitty family photos. Because they get compressed and look bad. And Facebook is notoriously bad for making, or notoriously known for making photos look terrible. But that's kind of what they are, right? Twitter is more the town square. Facebook is more of the place where families kind of follow you from a distance that can't. And it's not that bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying they couldn't see your pictures before. You had to send them in the mail, and now it's a little bit easier.
Because technically everything you do on Twitter, you could do even more of that on Facebook, actually.
Yeah, but Twitter's more of it's a public interaction. Like my page, unless I lock it down, anyone could see what I'm saying and anyone could respond. Anyone can follow me. I can follow anyone. I can have friends that follow me that I don't follow them. Like you could follow me and I choose not to follow your tweets, right?
And it's easier to post on Twitter than some other sites too. Like Reddit.
So
it's
the
not
main
as easy.
thing, and this is what I enjoyed. Like the first thing, and to be honest, here's the deal. I will be upfront with the fact that there are things that we have talked about on here that I do not agree with Elon Musk, right? I could say that about any person. Fill any person into that blank, right? There are things that I don't agree with. There are people who I fundamentally almost disagree with everything that they stand for. It doesn't mean that I'm like against that person as a human being. Like I'm just against their ideas, right? So, and one of the first things that he posted, which was 11 hours ago, he said, "I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter because that is what free speech means." And that is, I believe what he's saying, and I hope that he sticks to it. He's human, so maybe it's all a ruse, right? That's my caveat, right? Because anyone could say what they want if they don't follow through. I think he's going to follow through. I believe him until I don't. But that's truly free speech. And I've tried to explain that to people like, yeah, I may not agree with you. It doesn't mean that I don't want you to be able to say what you want to say. I may not want to interact with you as much because it's a hard time, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to. It's not that I'm going to be against you as a person talking about that. Even if I think you may have bad ideas, it doesn't mean I think you should be told not to say them. So I think this is a good thing.
Questions I have about this to a degree.
But that's the main thing that I'm glad. I hope he reinstates any accounts that were deleted for whatever reason, unless it was for illegal, nefarious things.
And there might be policies that he still agrees with, right? There could be policies that he still in the states that aren't illegal.
If he means what he says, his policy will be free speech.
Right, but I'm saying like his policy might still, when it comes down to brass tacks, right? He might actually have policies we don't know. There might be something that. But
he said, I'm just going based on what he's saying, is that people should be able to say what they're going to say,
unless it's illegal.
Unless it's illegal, right? So unless it doesn't follow free speech law. So there are things there is true hate speech, and this is
and there's defamation.
I think there's where right, yeah. So there's also like people have tried to redefine what hate speech is. So hate speech is not me saying I don't agree with a particular set of beliefs. That's not hate speech. Hate speech is me saying that I think that all the people that believe those beliefs that I don't agree with should die or something like that. That's hate speech.
Or it's a little bit more clear when it comes down to a personal attack.
Yeah, if it's a personal attack, like you're like, but even if you just say like say I tweeted out and I said, I don't like Curtis and I tag you, right? That's not hate speech.
No, because that's saying you. That's you. But if you said, Curtis is a asshole, like that specifically, that could
even
be
that's
interpreted.
Not. Now, if I said, like, if it was
that.
accusatory, like, see, because that's just like a name, right? So I'm saying
that. But if I
said like, let's say for instance, I said Curtis is a pedophile. And I'm like blaming you of a specific thing. Yeah, absolutely. You can't. That would be. You cannot make that. That could be a suit, especially but you would have to come and prove you could request it be taken down. If it's not, you'd have to prove that it's not true.
Right, and that's a hard one.
And so, yeah, exactly. So then if someone can't prove that, like,
oh my
whoops,
gosh, take that to
like,
court.
right.
You'd be in Johnny.
So,
you'd be in a Johnny. What's his name? Johnny Depp situation.
Right. Yeah. So to be really clear, that's just an example. I don't think you are.
Here's my thoughts though about the financial aspect of this. So he said he wants to take it private. Like the purchase is private. He's trying to take it off.
Yeah,
the
he's
stock
trying to take
market
it.
then?
He's trying to take out the stock market, but
So that means it won't be an IP. It won't be IPO. That means will they not have a board anymore? Then I wonder.
I think so. He did say he would like to have as many private investors as legally possible. So he just doesn't want it to be public. So I know people that have bought, a decent chunk of Twitter stock, knowing that it's going to be hard to get. It's not going to be the same way.
It won't be stock though, because if it's not,
it won't be stock,
public,
but it will be ownership. So
right. So I wonder if you'll still purchase it the same way through.
You can still have shares,
Fidelity,
and not have them public. Like
really?
There are those. Yeah.
Is it the purchasing? It's the same, or maybe you would like purchase it through Twitter.
There are shares to companies that are just they're simply over the counter. Like they're not. And so this is what's interesting. And I've been pondering this and what this looks like. I have no idea. Now, like, disclaimer, from this point forward, I am completely hypothesizing because I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But if this becomes the norm, where big companies like this are bought by people that want to basically turn them over to the public and allow it to be run in a free, open manner in a free society across the world, and they're ignoring because he said, I'm not going to go back on what I'm saying unless I'm at gunpoint. Like he did say this. So he's pretty serious about this idea. And if this is the case, imagine if it didn't stop at Twitter. Like Twitter's just the town square. Like he pegged it as the town square. How mad has Facebook got to be? Maybe they don't want to be bought out. But think about that for a second. The richest man in the world, determined from everything that he knows and everything that he sees, that the platform that is the town square of the world isn't yours.
Yeah, I think that is an area that I would almost have a little bit of concern over too.
Right.
If I was Elon, only because
not Elon. I'm saying
no.
Mark,
I'm saying
like Mark Zuckerberg.
But I'm saying if I was Elon, I would be a little bit of concern putting so much stock in, because we've seen over the past 10 years. It's been basically 10 years, maybe
this
12
is not.
Years.
I mean, this is a lot of money.
Right.
Stock of his money in it.
Right. True. But it also like makes me think he did put a lot of money into it of his own as well.
No, he did. But I'm saying it's not a
not everything.
It's a measured risk, but it's not that risky for him.
But the fact that technology changes so quickly and platforms change so quickly, and where people utilize resources for information and making a town square change so quickly, it's a big move for something that potentially will pay off, but could be obsolete in 10 years.
Say it paying off was not his thing.
Right.
He believes, just like the other things that he's worked on, that this is something that's needed for a free society and an advanced society.
But the investors would surely want it to pay off, right?
Right, but they don't have to be it anymore. If it's not public, he's not pleasing investors the same way. That different laws apply. So people that are invested with him are people that are going to have those same views of this may not monetarily pay off. This may simply just be.
So the people that own stock in Twitter currently, will they receive once the purchase goes to completion? Will they receive a payout and then their stocks will become dissolved?
I don't know. I haven't seen this happen before. So I don't know. This has got to be. I can't think of anything, and maybe there is like
tech purchase buyout.
Right.
Right.
I don't know that this has really happened before.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. The largest publicly traded tech purchase buyout that goes from IPO to private. Well, the other thing that he was talking about is changing algorithms within Twitter. And he was talking about how he wants to eliminate some of the AI spam bots, right? And it will be interesting because there is such a heavy influence from AI and spam bots that it's kind of interesting to me that Twitter doesn't already have the resources to create that, and it makes me wonder, well, how would Elon have it?
I was reading about this. Some of the reason why is that some of the inner workings of Twitter is even locked down to the employees. Like, they don't know some of the algorithms behind what make it tick, or at least some of them don't. And so when they work on it, like, it can't even be fundamentally changed by the people working there. So reading another tweet that he put out that kind of explains some of that and why he thinks maybe some of that was difficult was he posted this up, his a few quotes from himself. He said, "Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated," said Mr. Musk. "I also want to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, and authenticating with humans. Twitter has tremendous potential. I look forward to working with a company and a community of users to unlock it." So one of the things that he has said in other statements is that he wants to make the algorithms as to what it shows you are open source so that everyone knows, unlike Facebook, unlike Twitter is right now, what it does to show you what it shows you. That way it's a level playing field. There isn't an algorithm to crack like on YouTube, Facebook, and all these other platforms that like people have to kind of like figure out how to get it.
What's an example of an open source platform currently that people utilize?
We don't have one.
So
we have some that are like
one
owned.
That would be able to be sustained. That's not private. That could be not just
so
totally
the only one that I could think of that actually is open source now that I think about it would be Gab. And that's started by Andrew Torba. I can't remember even where he lives. It is open source, and he said people could take my code and make their own if they want. But Mr. Beast, do you know who Mr. Beast is?
Yeah.
One of the biggest YouTubers. The guy is a total dork, but he has like cracked the code of YouTube over and over and over again. And if you don't know who they are, ask your kids. They'll know who he is. But he commented on Elon's this tweet that I just read, and he said, "This is going to be interesting with a box of popcorn," because this is, I think some of these people are going to start coming out of the woodworks as proponents of this idea, because they've kind of figured out what is and doesn't work with the current systems that we have, and we're going to have a lot of people that are riding this. It's going to be the abnorm if this works, right? Say this doesn't work, just forget what I said. But it's going to become the norm that if you aren't for this, you're the odd man out. And there's already people that are saying like, I'm going to delete my Twitter account because for some reason they have something wrong with Elon Musk, which is kind of hilarious to me because he does stand for and has tried to make some of the things happen that so many people say need to happen, right? They want a world that has no gasoline cars, and this is the only guy who could conceivably make it happen. And like, I don't know if you know who Sean King is, writer, like pretty well known activist, whatever, just deleted his account like just in the last few hours.
I also have a prediction though. I have a prediction. Elon Musk through Tesla made a very significant purchase in cryptocurrency last year, and he owns like $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and obviously a significant amount of Doge as well,
right?
But because he basically like was the one that made that have any value. But I predict Twitter will become and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think Twitter is going to be not like maybe a Coinbase, but they're going to significantly expand their features that incorporate cryptocurrency and some type of like.
They already did do this quite a bit.
No, I know they have it, but I think it's going to expand, and I think that the degree that was Twitter involved.
I agree with you, but I would have agreed with you without him as well. I wouldn't be shocked if they kind of worked with some of these companies that already are part of this. So like the person that stepped down from Twitter not too long ago, probably because they saw this coming, was Jack Dorsey, who still runs Cash App.
Who's still on, and Jack Dorsey's actually still on the board. And I think Elon will continue keeping him around.
I think some of these things are things that Jack wanted. I would not be super shocked. I don't trust Jack Dorsey like as far as I can throw a baseball, which is not very far. But I do think some of the ideas that he had got squashed because of the board and because of pleasing, people and everything. And I think he stepped down because he knew this is what needed to happen to make it work. The company that he could work with to make that stuff happen, because they're already working on it, is Cash App. And it wouldn't shock me if they worked closely with them to make some of those things work. This would unlock, to use their verbiage, ways for them to interact in ways with digital currency fairly easily. Although what's going on there now with Lightning Pay and stuff works really well. I did look into today, what would it take to also stream to Twitter?
So. Oh yeah, that would be cool. That would be very cool. Ooh, I'd like that. Is that feasible? Does that look like it's an option?
It looks like it's feasible. I have not gotten there yet.
So would not mind that at all.
I would say when I say I looked into it, I spent a good 5 minutes, which is probably more in depth than most people would do in 5 minutes. but
just to toot my own horn.
Yeah, just to toot my own horn. When I go into research mode, I can get a lot done in a little short amount of time. It looks feasible, so cool. We'll see.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope.
So yeah, I like the idea. I think it's cool. I do not think this would work with everyone, but imagine I was thinking through like what other businesses could be taken back and made private. Because what I do think that publicly owned companies have wrecked our society, and I think we saw that this last election cycle. Is that there's way too much money tied up in these. They're less companies and more activist groups than.
I think there's some companies. I think there's companies that are good for public and companies that are not good for being public. Like I think automotive industries, I think it's good for them to be public. I think that's a good thing actually. But maybe social media platforms or tech companies are potential for having more of adverse reaction.
They're able. It makes it as if they're not open source. This is what I love about what he's doing. So he's kind of putting his money where his mouth is, because he's saying basically, yes, I want control to give control back to people, but I'm going to show you it's actually happening so that you can trust me. Mm-hmm. In short, that's what he's saying. If people want to know like really what he's saying by let's make this open source, he truly is saying, I will prove it to you. And I hope he does. I have hope that he does. And I feel like this is a bright spot. There's going to be people that leave Twitter, and here's the deal. There was a lot of people that left Twitter because they felt like they were getting censored this last few years, because of quote unquote
Trump says he's not coming back to Twitter. Trump says he's not coming back to Twitter. He says his own platform is the best one.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it's called.
I don't think that's I think he will.
He has some
I don't care, but like I think
he's only tweeted once on it. That's the funny thing. He's only posted once on his own platform.
So here's the deal. People will use the platform that gets the most eyeballs, regardless of who owns it. And that's if
they're trying to get eyeballs, yeah.
And here's the thing. I'm excited for somebody to own it that's if he does what he says he's going to do. Not because everyone's going to say and agree with me, but because everyone will have the same ability and voice, regardless if they're wrong or right. And people think like, oh, that's so dangerous. I'm like, no, I don't think you get it. It's more dangerous if we don't have that. It is more dangerous if someone has control to remove what they want to even if at the time you think that's the right thing to remove, imagine if there's a time when it's not. You want it all out there. You want to be able to vet it for yourself. You don't want to be told what to think. Like, I heard a reaction from a news agency this week, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, what are you thinking? They said, this is dangerous. He's going to be able to tell people what to think, and that's our job. And that is not the case. That is just no one's job to tell you what to think. You can get information, and you should weigh those things and make those personal decisions. And choices if you want to. If you don't want to, then don't. That's fun of free society.
The last thing. Oh, actually, no. I don't have any more. I thought I was going to do one more, but
you're like, I think I have one more, but I don't actually.
Nah, I'm good. We got TILs though. We got a couple TILs for y'all.
I'm excited for me. I think this is a good thing. I think we both are, but
I think honestly, he's kind of has a proven track record, and I think that is encouraging.
There's a few things. I mean, to name one of the things that you and I did disagree with him was, and maybe it was just rumor, maybe it was people trying to make him look bad. I feel like that goes around a lot. Is that he told he worked with the Chinese government to take down negative stuff about his cars in China. At least that's what we heard, right? So, I mean, let's be fair.
Yeah,
like if that's the case, I mean, we even said then, like, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, maybe China wanted to make him look bad. If he did do that, I don't agree with that. I think that's not very free speech.
Which makes you concerned about someone that's trying to have free speech on Twitter.
Right. Or it makes me think he really is headed this direction. Maybe that was a lie. I don't know. I mean, I got to at least give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Yeah.
We shall see. Time will tell.
Yeah. It'll be cool. So can't be worse than it was this last few years, though. I'll tell you that.
We'll talk about someone that's a little needy. My first TIL is... Today I learned that Queen Elizabeth has an official shoe wearer who breaks in her shoes so they don't give her blisters.
That whole system.
That would be a different type of life, laugh. Man.
You guys have celebrity non-leaders. It's weird. That's why we left your country. Today I learned the Outback Steakhouse was founded in Tampa, Florida by 4 Americans who had never visited Australia. They simply saw an opportunity to ride the wave of popularity of all things Australian following the 1986 film Crocodile Dundee. Their concept was American food and Australian fun.
That's hilarious, and I'm very impressed that they thought of that. That's like it's very true though. I mean, like, most Americans are even to this day kind of like ooh and ah over, outside countries, but particularly towards Australia. And Jono, I think, could attest to that.
Except lately, because they're basically China.
Well, they're in fights with China, man. They're fighting China in a lot of ways.
I'm just joking because I hope he knows. Okay. He loves it when I say that. It's like his love language. So...
All right. Today I learned, last one from me, guys. Today I learned, not that big of a deal, but pretty cool if you think about it. The Philippines consist of around 7,640 islands. So it's a country of islands, which is pretty cool because it would make me think maybe I could own my own island, and that could be pretty neat.
What's the smallest one?
IMO. Ooh, I will tell. And right, what qualifies as an island, right?
Yeah, or just like a rock.
Size that qualifies as a island. I'll tell you right now.
Just young Jamie that. Can you tell me, young Jamie?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, here we go. You guys ready? Ooh, this is fascinating. Oh, well, that's much smaller than I would have anticipated.
Yes. Okay, go.
Oh, wait. No, that was a kitchen. A kitchen island. I was reading this.
Oh, you're like 3 by 3 feet.
The smallest, an island should technically be 4 feet by 2 feet to qualify. I was like, that's way too small for an island. Okay, wait.
Can't even fit my bed here.
No, there's no technical size requirements. Okay, let me see. Smallest island in Philippines. It's called Palawan Island, and it is Oh, that's pretty big. It's approximately 4,700 square miles. So 4,700 square miles.
Whoa. That's the smallest island?
Yeah. But that's interesting.
I question Google right now.
How's the smallest island?
Could Elon buy Google?
No. Here we go.
So we can trust it.
Correct it. Here we go. It was okay. The smallest island is called Nauru.
Okay.
And it's 8 square miles.
Oh, that's pretty small still. Huh.
Fascinating.
Cool.
Fascinating. All right, guys.
All right. Wait, I have one more.
Oh, yeah,
one more.
Sorry.
This one's interesting. Today I learned that centipede venom contains over 500 different compounds, many of which show evidence of potential antimicrobial and anti-cancer properties.
Ooh, get that centipede juice. Start drinking some centipede juice, yo.
We're letting them bite you.
Feeling good. Get your tummy feeling real good.
You do leech treatments? There's centipede treatments where they bite you to take the cancer away.
You've heard of probiotics. You've heard of leeching. You've heard of bleaching. Now it's time for centipeding.
Centipeding.
Get it. Feel your tummy. Get it safe.
All
right, guys. Creepy. You guys, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that little subscribe button if you get a chance. Don't forget to hit that little notification button if you get a chance. We might be coming to Twitter. We'll see. Hopefully you have a fantastic week. Stay safe. Stay saucy. And we'll catch you soon.
See you guys.
Peace.